I don't know how to start this. Maybe if I write it all out, it will make sense. To me, to you, to anyone. Let me set the scene. I'm Andrew, 31 years old. I've been married to my wife, Sarah, for 6 wonderful, complicated years. We met in college, fell in love in that storybook way, and even now, despite life's routine grinding us down, there's still magic between us. We have no kids. Not yet anyway. We always said we'd wait until we were ready. Maybe that was our first mistake. Then there's Emily, Sarah's niece. She's 27. And before you assume anything, let me be clear. I never saw this coming. Ever. Emily's parents passed away in a car crash when she was 19. Sarah and her sister were close. So naturally, Sarah stepped in and became a maternal figure to Emily, even though Emily lived on her own. I was there too, in the background. We were already dating back then, and when Sarah brought Emily around, she was just this quiet, hurting kid. She stayed quiet for years. At family gatherings, she'd sit at the corner of the room with her Kindle, always reading something heavy. She had a thing for philosophy books, Nietzsche, Kierkegaard, Camus. I tried to connect with her, but what could I, an IT guy obsessed with Marvel movies and indie rock, say to someone who quoted being and nothingness in casual conversation? Sarah said to give her time. And I did. Over the years, Emily and I developed what I'd call a respectful distance. She started opening up to Sarah more, sharing her struggles with relationships, work, and life in general. She worked as an editor at a small publishing house, which seemed perfect for her. I'd see her once every few months at family events, and our conversations were always cordial but brief. But something changed last year. It was the 4th of July. Sarah always insists on throwing a big barbecue. We invite everyone, friends, co-workers, neighbors, family, you name it. The house is always packed, smoke from the grill curling into the summer sky, the smell of burgers and sunscreen in the air. Emily showed up late. I remember it because I was flipping burgers, drenched in sweat, and suddenly I heard Sarah yell her niece's name from across the lawn. I turned to look, spatula in hand, and saw Emily walking toward us, wearing this yellow sundress that made her stand out against the sea of reds, whites, and blues. She had this small smile on her face, not her usual polite, closed-mouth smile, but something genuine. And for the first time, I noticed she wasn't a kid anymore. Let me clarify before you start judging me. This wasn't that kind of moment. I didn't feel anything inappropriate. It just struck me, like seeing a friend you hadn't seen in years and realizing they've changed. She hugged Sarah, then walked over to me. "Need a hand, Uncle Andrew?" she asked. She'd called me that since the day I married Sarah. It used to sound funny, given the small age gap, but I got used to it. "I'm good, but thanks. Long drive?" She nodded, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. Traffic was awful, but I couldn't miss the annual burgers. "How's life treating you?" "Can't complain," I said, turning the burgers. I looked back at her and added, "You look happy. It's good to see." Her face lit up a little, and then she said something odd. "You know, you're one of the only people who says that to me, that I look happy." Before I could respond, Sarah came over with a pitcher of lemonade, and Emily slipped back into the crowd. That conversation sat with me longer than I expected, but I brushed it off. Fast forward to Thanksgiving. Sarah's family has this tradition of renting a cabin up in the Smoky Mountains. It's cozy and crowded, and for the most part, it's always fun. We were there for 4 days, and on the second night, I stepped outside to get firewood. The snow had started falling gently, and the whole world looked peaceful under the moonlight. That's when I heard Emily's voice behind me. "Hey, Uncle Andrew, can I talk to you for a second?" I turned and saw her standing there, bundled in a coat and scarf. She looked nervous, more nervous than I'd ever seen her. "Sure, everything okay?" She bit her lip, her breath misting in the cold air. Not really. What's wrong?" There was a long pause. Then she whispered, "I think I'm in love with you." The world tilted. I swear I felt it, like the ground beneath me wasn't stable anymore. "What?" I managed to choke out. She looked away, her voice shaking. "I'm sorry. I know it's wrong. I know you're married, but I had to say it. I can't keep pretending." I didn't know what to say. My heart was racing, and my brain felt like it couldn't process what was happening. I finally managed to stammer, "Emily, this isn't... You don't mean that." "I do," she said, tears glistening in her eyes. "I know you're happy with Sarah, and I would never want to hurt her. But I couldn't keep lying to myself." She turned and walked back toward the cabin before I could say another word. I didn't sleep that night. My mind replayed her words, Her voice, over and over again. Was this my fault? Had I done something? Said something? To make her think this was okay? I couldn't remember ever crossing a line. I loved Sarah. I still do. But Emily's confession was like a stone dropped into the still waters of my life, sending ripples in every direction. The next morning, I avoided Emily. She avoided me too. Sarah noticed something was off, but I told her I was just feeling sick, maybe a cold coming on. That was 2 weeks ago. I've barely spoken to Emily since. She's texted me once, a short apology that I haven't responded to. Now, I don't know what to do. I can't tell Sarah. It would destroy her, and I'm not even sure how to explain it. But I also can't pretend it didn't happen. Every time I close my eyes, I hear Emily's words in the cold night air. How do I move past this? How do I fix something I didn't even know was broken?